Okay, so somebody asked about volume and the vacuums, and I do believe that there are volume vacuums that you could plot, and there's a spike in volume. I think that's the reversal trade. Um, when the volume spikes, I think it's time to back off your size to keep the equity the same. Trade heavy when the volume's low. But this is the ultimate guide to trading volume. And he has an interesting view that you have to ask yourself, is this a good place to get in right now? And these spikes in volume is what he's going to focus on. And he is right on some things, but if you take the theory and you back it through the chart and you look for volume spikes that haven't occurred yet, so when you get a big volume spike, that's kind of like it's a new baseline for the whatever's going to come after that. But since you don't know what's coming after that, if you go back in your data set, starting 3 years back when the volumes were low, maybe on a particular thing, the same game was the same kind of theory plays out, but in a different amount of risk as far as horizontal price at levels.
Likely want to hold their positions. And by that train of thought, you probably reason that this is what's going to happen. And that is what happens, as you can see here. We
So
have a
he shifts so fast I had to back it up 8 times to find out where he's talking about. But this breakout here, he says, oh, that's a real breakout because there's a lot of volume there. Okay, that's good, but I think that the trick was to get in before the volume actually picked up. So I immediately thought about the lack of volume here, where it's time to build a position and nibble at the market a little bit and try to get something going here when it's dead volume, and draw a trend line of your volume. So you've got this, like here the volume's fading, so it's time to think about getting in. And right about this time, you're getting volatility is drying up. So it's kind of redundant in a way. I don't normally look at volume, but you could use the same theory. You got a trend line on volume, and it gets very quiet. And when it finally does break out, this is the beginning of the so-called trend. Once we can overcome this lonely wick, which is the floor, yes, we can finally. He's got a lot of data on here, but if you take the theory down to these little micro levels where you're on the 15-minute chart, and what are the volume spikes there, and what are you doing about it? Yeah, I think there's a rule for low volume. There's a trade plan for low volume entry, and a trade plan for high volume entry. And typically, I would just run a wider stop and consider myself taking advantage of the price I was hoping I would get, and I do get it, and I think, wow, it even looks better. And maybe I'm going to sit here for 3 hours and say, I'm just going to have to cash out of what I'm in. Now, this is the problem, is that you're expecting a bigger reaction off a certain price level. Your expectations are X, but see, in this guy's description, he's talking about what most people would do, and would you do that? And they're trapped there, and a lot of people panicked here, and but it really depends on, can you aboard that train? Has it already left the station? Once the volume spikes up, in my opinion, it's like, you better drop down on the 5-minute chart to bring the volume down so you can see the people that play in the 5-minute chart, or the way the market behaves on the 5-minute chart is tradable when it's screaming on the daily or the 4-hour. The 15-minute chart's tradable. You're like, oh yeah, it's just going to keep going. I mean, and then when you, in hindsight, you look at the chart and go, look at the thing never stopped for fucking 20 hours straight up. 20 hours drifting up or drifting down. And you could have kept adding to a sell on the drifting stairway down into the void. Or it's all happening so quickly that you wish you would have had bigger targets. I mean, it's like jump rope, and you can't really. It's as if the jump rope's randomly changing direction. Not so random. I mean, it does have a kind of a you know a rhythm to it, a little choppy, but if you're willing to just dance with the market, then and that's a whole. He's not a 5 minute chart. This guy. So yeah, there's a volume spike there. 5 minute chart. I don't even think he's got like I don't know how many days of data he's got. Like a week's worth of data on a 5 minute chart. Bitcoin challenge guy. He's got the ultimate guide.
Volume spike. This is very clear breakout volume right here. Strong momentum, strong volume above resistance, and price just continues to move upward, as you can see here. And again, this might be the reason because some of these other traders who had bought and then probably sold at this oversold point right here, they might have panicked and bought back in, causing the price to move higher until it was overbought.
So he says sort of a lot there. So I mean, this is also just before he switched screens, he just flies around like you can't even tell what context his last entry was. It's insane. These spikes here. So this, I mean, in comparison, I just can't even follow this guy, honestly.
Because some of these other traders who
it's about what he's saying about other traders.
At this oversold.
So these other traders and these traders and those guys and how they feel. I mean, it's just kind of strange. Well, just tell us what was the best way to make money in this chart.
Right here.
You know, what's the trade now, and is this the auction? So my pops out at me is this double bottom becoming a trap here? We're trapped beneath the floor, fighting to get out. We break away, take out this trend line. This climax in volume is drifting. We have a loss of volume. Trend lines on volume. Finally, it's so low. The volume is so low, and the trading is so quiet, and everything's coming to like, well, you know what? We're caught in this range. We've been living here. We get our first run of the border. Come back. Are we just going to keep dicking around like this forever? Right? At some point, and it's just crawling out of there, and then blammo. Because once it's sheared off these three, it just pops it like a breaker. It's like a circuit breaker. You think this doesn't matter? This hole that's stacking up? How does it not matter? I mean, the market only sees this. It doesn't see this anymore because that's all resolved. So is this area resolved. We've backfilled all this shit. All that exists now is this wedge. Okay, then you fall out of bed. Then you come back to the apex. Then you fall out of bed into this cavern that's been forming. But so is this cavern. So this thing's just kind of a slave to the space it lives around. It can't seem to get out of its own way. So you get this void formed, and it's just kind of splashing around. Don't forget they're floating currencies. So they're just lost in the wind. And this is like the amount of wind meter, you know. But yeah, there's certainly a correlation here where we're peaking as we're filling the vacuum. Yes, we'd expect peak volumes on all vacuum fills. Totally. Oh, what to do about it? I mean, I'd say the lack of volume is certainly a place that like people are like, holy shit, there's nothing going on. Then we get twin peaks in volume, and starts to get all excitable there. I don't even know what this. No, this is correlation here. So there is really only this light volume. It's just a wick up there, I think. Once again, he's using skinny candles. I can't even tell. There's actually a wick up here. faintly see it. And here, and this is the pop through. But yeah, he's saying, go along here. Well, okay, great. But you got to run a wide stop. I mean, you got to really be committed at this point.
They might have panicked and bought back in, causing the price to move higher until it was overbought. All right, cool. So again, I think this is...
So they might have, right? They might have. I mean, these are all things that you would have to feel like, oh, I'm getting hurt in this trade. I'm panicking like everybody else. The volume's up. Oh my God, should I stay with this trade or is this a fake out? This could also be a fake out. If you would have run out of people trading it, the orders dry up. Okay, then it's just going to drift around and it's just a little fake out like the first, maybe the fifth attempt failure. We don't know. And what does it matter to the guy that's only going to be in the market for 15 minutes on this 5-minute chart and he's going to be like, I just made a bunch of money, I'm out? Because the drift factor, it may look glorious in the end, but if you're in really big, then it's going to bother you that it's not really making money, but in about 5 hours, it could be making a ton of money if you stayed in it. Because the idea that you'd cut your losses short would make you get out. And then you just say, I'd rather lose than get out, because if I get out, I got to get back in, and I still like to trade. I still think it's going to crash, or still think it's going to rally. So getting in lightly allows you breathing room to build on top of the position. And it's the idea that you would set up one store and it would be successful. Yeah, everybody's gonna love my stuff when they see it. So I don't need a chain of stores. I'm fine. One store, I nailed it.
Probably the easiest example that I've included in here. So I think you guys should be able to get this one.
I know you guys are not that bright, so I'm going to throw this one out for the goobers. Now pay attention.
Let me show the 3 types of volume again.
So here we go. 3 times volume. Volume spiked. It indicates overbought. So yes, reversal. Right. Volume spiked. It indicates strong. Okay. 5. Yeah.
And this guy. So I'm
also, it's high risk. I mean, it may be giving you this bearish view, but
guys, what type of volume is this, and would you buy or sell? And in 3, 2, 1. Okay, this is very clear breakout volume. This is also as a breakdown because it's breaking below price, but I like to call them breakouts, whether they go up or down above consolidation. We have a support level here, you can see, and support's broken. Price pierces through support on very high volume. I mean, this really couldn't be any more bearish. Do I see any reason, again, I'm going to ask myself, do I see any reason that people would buy at this price level? I don't. I really see no reason why any trader, retail or institutional, is going to want to buy at this. No, not really. I can't think of really any reason. Maybe because they incorrectly think this is oversold. But I could see a lot of reasons why people would want to sell this. And one main reason would be that many people had probably panicked.
But you could be cashing out of your winnings too. You could be saying, "I'm okay. That's my target right there."
And sold here as price had gone down so quickly and on such high volume that they reasoned correctly that price was probably going to continue going down.
Because then it's about selling it right now. So it keeps tanking right here. I think he jumped to here on the chart. And it was still a choppy ride. I mean, this is tremendous. And of course, if you're watching that happen, it's different than if you just streamed a bunch of buy limits down there and didn't care because you're a swing trader. But I think this guy's day trading.
And that's probably what occurred here. So again, there's a lot more reasons why people will be selling this than buying this at this current price.
See, here's the fallacy. As soon as he says that, look back here and then notice his same theory applied to this is that, well, who's going to be with this breakout of here? Who's going to be getting in? This volume spike, it's absolutely bearish as can be. That's what you said here. Look, it's breaking down. I'm going to sell. Actually, this is the argument for getting in before the volume kicks up. Yeah, when it's peaking, here a peak, right? Putting a reversal trade on. The low volume here, drifting, perks up. Here's the climax move that, according to him, because it's like the peakiest of volume, that you're going to sell that, and that's where the scalpers are going to take it back to here. Eventually, just before that move down, I think that you missed your entry. I would hope that this would be a clue here, this double top. Or that kind of drift up, volumes evaporating. There were a lot of people buying here, accumulating, right under here, and of course that's when you see the volume. But this is a different kind of a spike. It's softer, it's denser. There's a lot of feeding frenzy there. Bam, bam, and this auction comes to here, and then it kind of engulfs, almost makes it back to here. But it's so subtle. I mean, there's so many pockets on this chart where you can see the retest of the doji, right? Look for a retest here, a failure, but the buying starts here, right? So here's the buy zone, all that. So the guy that loads up on this, the guy that made money on this price movement, let's put it like that, he buys on limits all the way down to here. He buys this whole pocket. And as the market caves into his hole and retraces almost to the floor, he's out. The trend guy is every time it's up, he's selling at the market every day or hour, what this is. Here's a sell into the floor. And we still got a lot of work to do. We got to go after all of these stops, so to speak, right? And the way we bob into that window, like this is what was supposed to be come to the floor, engulf, and then take off. Not yet. One more auction, then take out the floor, come back, and then take off. Besides, the longer it marches down this highway, the more demand is piling up above, or supply. So we're offsetting supply and demand, and there you go. Now we've backfilled completely. We still have a hole to worry about, though. So the big hole rules, right? I mean, this is currently the space above that's looming. Now Bitcoin has not. I don't know how old this video is, but I think we go to hell here at some point. We go all the way to like 4,000 on Bitcoin. But these are once in a lifetime. I mean, this volume may not be exceeded. Who knows? But I'm going to go to my charts in a minute.
Okay, so now I have the toughest example by far in this one. So here's my question to you again. What type of the three types of...
Now this one's easy for me because I'm selling that right away for a scalp. Almost don't care what time frame that is. And I almost don't care about that volume spike, but for me, this is a classic short-term trap up in here. Anything up in this vacuum here, we're dipping into that window there. That's the first dip. I'm like, okay, I'll sell it. Hopefully I had a sell limit here, maybe. Now I have a buy limit here and here and here, I'd say, right now. So I'm always thinking I want to sell up here later on, but we haven't cut that hole out yet, so it's going to take a while for this thing to consolidate, and then you can build a position during the consolidation phase.
Volume is this, and do you want to buy or sell? And again, this one is a little bit tougher, but try to think of this.
Now, oddly enough, he's going to say, I don't even know what he's saying at the end. I think he's saying buy it. I'm not sure.
We have a downtrend, retracement, continuation of the downtrend. Volume spike here that indicates a probable reversal and not a retracement. And then we have this. So let me give you guys 3 seconds to just reason through what you think this is. And would you want to buy or would you want to sell? Yes, this is actually continuation volume. And again, what I had said before is continuation.
And what does that mean? Continuation up or down? He never says. And it's just like, what in the fuck? Am I retarded?
Continuation of volume occurs after a reversal in the direction of the new trend. And this is not breakout volume, not yet, because price has not
He means it's going up then, maybe.
Breaking above this resistance. And this is clearly not overbought volume. It doesn't really look overbought to me.
See, now that's the thing. It's so subjective. And is this 5-minute chart really, is he really trading this thing? Is he really pulling the trigger on this thing?
Because price was just in a powerful downtrend. So I wouldn't expect that this would be overbought. Yeah, and again, you'd ask yourself, is there more reason that people would probably want to sell this or buy this? And as you can see, price consolidated a bit and then went upward. And there's much more reason why people would want to buy this than sell this, for sure. And if you did say breakout volume, you're kind of right, but you're right here because you can see that.
Let's see, my sell scalp was played out right there. I can see it now. He didn't shift so hard. This big rally here, if you sold that, is this right here on the chart? I'm not sure. Yeah, okay, so here, you sell it, and you're selling all the way to here, and then you make your scalp as it comes back. And in your buy scheme, you're going to go for the structure entry here, plus you got this hole forming, and this one's been satisfied already, so it's going to be just path of least resistance, the biggest hole. There's a hole, something's going in it.
This does form resistance, and then when price breaks that resistance, you get another volume spike that propels price higher. But I still would call this continuation volume.
Yeah. A little bit of a spike there. Now, how would you describe this? I think some of these sell-offs, I'm not sure where the volume cues up on the chart there. I think this pullback here, first breakout. So right here is about here, I think. Spikes up, comes back, almost doesn't cut the break, but it starts tipping off these things. This becomes your big pivot later on. So we assume this is going to be a shoulder. I mean, this is the shoulder with the head we're going to sell. We're going to buy back at the shoulder to be safe and then take more profits into the torso, so to speak. Also, the head and shoulders pattern is missing a torso and a crotch. There's a lot of things so that they don't talk about. That's the extended course. That's the $15,000 private training course session.
But I still would call this continuation volume. Now, one little really helpful cheat that you can use when it's saying, hey, is this...
Did you say cheat? I never cheat.
Retracement or is this a reversal? Because I get that question all the time. And one thing you can do is actually look at volume. And I'm going to add this in here. Notice
I listen to volume with my subwoofers.
Here how this bottom of the retracement, if you had noticed this and you were like, should I buy, should I not buy? There really doesn't seem to be a significant...
Okay, here's where a mechanical trading system is going to save your life. If you're not sure, then admit to it and pay up for the fee of not knowing. If you don't know how to cook your own food, you go to the restaurant. You pay more for it. I mean, luckily the waitress was hot enough so I could justify the restaurant today, but God, I was so impatient. I was like, really? Could you just take my order? I mean, I get that you're hot and you want to prance around, but could you just take my order, please? So it reminds me of the market. My analogy is that the market is like a girl that keeps leaving some. Oh, I forgot. I got to go back and get something. This is the retest. and that phase there is, it's tradable if you're ready for that small movement, But here the chop into here is amazing. Breakout, come back to the breakout point, and then kablamo. There is less volume on this sell-off. There are not many people, and this is the only time that volume makes sense, is that you went to a new vacuum and you ran out of sellers. The first smash into that vacuum was serious fillage. I mean, it's like, wow. I can't quite queue up. I'm going to do it on mine. I'll queue up the volume I think this is the spike for this. I'm not sure. Or on the way down there, on the way to it. What's more fascinating is the lack of volume. Also, his volume should be stretched out. He needs to stretch the whole chart out. Because with that theory, if we assume this is a shoulder, we're going to sell the head, and we see the volume spike up, we'd be like, okay, that confirms it's a reversal. Anytime I see a ton of volume, I'm like, okay, it's a counter trend trade. It's some kind of reversal. No volume, very scary here, no volume. And then, yikes, falls off a cliff. Volume heats up as you fill this. Yeah, this is the first fill. People are like, holy shit, because we've done this fill, this fill, this fill, and we're building this floor with all the inside fills, back fills. It's pretty amazing how it never makes it back to here, and people are just like, wow, it stretches into the zone, but that is it. You are done. Then the ever looming void of here, this is a big deal. People are like, well, now what? Bam, come back. People are freaking out. They're like, I am so getting out there. Revolving door theory. This window, and then plunge. Crush. Blow out this floor, which is blowing out this, too. It's not that it just took that out. It's like this look back, crush in, come back. Actually overshoot, engulf, and make it all the way back to here amazingly. Pretty on the fifth, this is the triple tops on the 5 here. So people that like to sell triple tops, they're nailing it. They're always assuming that this is going to be the shoulder and there's a head coming, right? The people that are really cheap, they're selling up at the tippy top. They're buying down here in the bottom. Anytime it dips in this window, gobble that up and ride it to here. And so you're waiting for the holes to form so that you can ride the blast into the void. Up or down, doesn't matter. It's going to be a very quick and dirty trade. You don't want to stick around. Because when this trade happens here, where we take out this floor and it goes smashing down, don't you want to get the fuck out here where everybody's getting and going the other way? The people that think the other way are going the other way? Yeah, I think so. It's a revolving door. Didn't quite stop on this, but look at how harsh. And this is the other reason why when it's down hard, you're just buying. Buy when it's tanking. Now here, it didn't work out. Only for the last part of those tickets, but it didn't work out for the sake that this was more of the reason why. For you to stand in front of this, okay, it's one thing to buy this plunge area here, but the whole time you're buying that, you have to look at least left enough to say, is there anything I should be concerned about? And you say, well, yeah, this big giant fucking hole here could be a problem. You've dug out your basement too deep, sir. You're down near the mantle of the earth. Okay, it really is not. It's hot. There's volcanic. You hit the volcanic issue down there. But it's like the old roller coaster ride. Trees don't grow out of the sky theory. And here I think I'd scalp that a little bit. And then, of course, buy limits here maybe, sell limits here. It depends if I'm going to babysit it. And every 15 minutes it's down and I'm bullish, I buy a little bit. And I just keep on, adding to this, because I'm going to get out probably, if I build it, I'm going to get out in one big fell swoop. That's a hard exit, soft entry, hard exit trading. So if you do that, it's a nice feeling because you go flat with profits after you kind of weave and let the market come to you, and you chase it a little bit, but it comes to you. So it's this kind of, you're fishing, but you're also netting fish. It's just a completely different approach, because if you do attack it like a sniper, where you're going to claim that you are this talented, you're the rock star. Here, give me that guitar, you fucking idiot. Here, it's not even in tune. Your guitar's not in tune. It's just, if you play with people with the guitar's not in tune, you're like, oh shit. It's like Bob Dylan, Hendrix was out of tune, but Hendrix would just bend into tune. Hendrix, it didn't matter. I don't think he was ever holding onto a note and steady. So, but that's what the market's like. Jimi Hendrix being played back. It's a real tumble game, and then a lot of the astounding moves that people are just like, yeah, it's going down, and they're on that train, right? But I'm sure none of these markets move straight in a straight line, and none of them go sideways forever. So there's something between a perfectly straight line and perfect noise. There's something in between there, and the market is an unfolding story, I suppose. If you're looking at the history it leaves on the chart, the way it on a linear chart, the way it paints through here. And the volume is the spike. But the other problem I have with the volume is that it's taking me away from my trade, because it's putting another confirmation thing on that has also may filter out a perfectly good trade. Like, so say you're at the coffee shop and you think, God, that girl there, I mean, really? And then you think, it's like, that's going to be a bad trade. But somehow in the market, it's okay to do that trade, because you don't know these people's money that you're using to make money. You don't know, your leverage money might be coming from God knows what, right? Some human trafficking fund. That's why I get all that leverage. Where'd you think the money was coming from? It's like Soylent Green. But I don't know. It's pretty much, it comes down to, even with the Bitcoin now, you trade just crypto, but is it fun? Or are you trying to just make money from your computer instead of digging a ditch or doing something physical because you don't want to do that anymore, and you're just like, I'm over it. It's hurting my body to keep doing chronic movements, and I'll just want to have an idea, make money, and just plan my trades, trade my plan stuff, and that would be your lifestyle on some level. I think it's always better to transition into things. I'd never want to do a hard stop. I don't like to burn any bridges. As far as if I know somebody that knows how to do something and I go do something better, I'm not going to say, well, I just can't ever try that again. But we'd have to be on the same page, right? So everybody's moving on to other things, and there's all ways to do it. Besides some of this, don't forget the actual industry of trading online has taken a beating with all the regulation, because I think I don't know what happened there, I honestly think it was manufactured drama, because who would care if somebody, okay, you lost your family savings trading, so some attorney sues a brokerage firm, and now the government has to come out and say, oh boy, you people just can't control yourselves. What we're going to do is just take away the toys from you. Um, Meanwhile, there was people that were talented at making money. It's almost like they said, well, these songs you've been writing, Elvis is obscene on TV, therefore we only film him from the a bow tie up. We'll protect you, we're the Federal Communications that will protect you from this assault on your senses. Meanwhile, your neighbor's bending over without the right amount of fabric, and she's not hot, right? And she's in the driveway, and you're visually assaulted. Nobody's getting arrested for that. So yeah, I was at the store today. I was like, really? You don't feel a breeze? Come on. It's cold out. People are wearing shorts now. I get the fact that the calendar says that it's X degrees out, but it's fucking freezing out. You're wearing shorts? Besides, if you're a guy, please don't wear shorts. What are you doing? You're assaulting my senses. Only girls are, even some girls, I'd say, no shorts. Put some clothes on, people. This beach mentality. Yeah, I want to live in the Arctic, where it's cold all the time. I just want to be like up there, Eskimos. Can you get an internet connection up there? So that was the thing, trading. There was that Gerald Appel video where he's on the beach trading with just pivot points. I'm not kidding you, floor pivots. He puts a trade in and hangs up the phone, and I watched that. I was like, how could you do that without looking at the chart? How could you put on a trade without seeing where it sits in the map and the landscape of everything about the behavior of price? I can't imagine. I think somebody told me Ford Motor was trading it. Or if you gave me the range, what's the historical high and low chart? If it was half off, I'd probably buy a little bit. It's half off. Fuck it. It's a stock. It's got a dividend. All right, I can justify it. Rationalize a lot of trades I think that's why the stock market's popular, because people, I like the company. I know it's not a good trade. The stock market's a social affair too, E.F. Hutton factor. But, it's like Forex is kind of a dirty, over-the-counter penny stock. It's rigged. It's so cute to see all the people freaking out about it. And the people with the Ferraris and all that, I get the fact that hip-hop artists are making money and drive Ferraris, but I don't know if Forex really is that kind of lifestyle where you're sitting there getting hammered on, what is it, some high-end whiskey that they do. Those kids these days. Royal Crown or something. Crown Royal. But I never saw this guy before. I just typed in volume trading and this guy came up. Ultimate guide. Oh, thank God. I wanted the extra ultimate, but I'll settle for the ultimate guide if I have to.
Again, volume spike, just a minor volume spike. And what I mean by
minor is I hardly felt it.
that is you can see that the orange is the moving average.
He's actually got a moving average on the volume. I say put a trend line on it. I say trade it like it's a breakout of volume.
Volume spike looks to be just about twice the moving average.
So cute. You can see it down here. The moving average is just trying to, got it, probably 14 period, right?
And a reversal probably is going to have much higher volume than that. So I wouldn't really expect this, even with 2020 hindsight. I know that's what you're probably thinking. Hey, you can see what already happened. I can, but still we can look at volume to distinguish why we wouldn't want to buy here. Because we don't really see significant volume at this price point. Do we see significant volume here? Yes. We see about, I would say, quintuple the moving average from here.
Quintuple. Oh, for the moving average. Okay, so, but I'm thinking more like we took out these highs. This is another reason I never run a moving average on an indicator. So I'm looking at, we chopped this out, took out this vacuum. All right, this is all-time high. Just like this is a double top. in volume. Then we're living down here, right? So it stands out amongst this, and it's before the final capitulation where there's really nobody taking either side of that. It's just it's fair value on there. It's decidedly done being unfair. I think it equalized itself under the floor, you could say. So the volume died down, and people are like, it's normal business, right? It's really not normal business when it's high volume. I think it's more of a panic, like this guy says, panic, kind of like a reversal situation. It seems like a climax
of a volume spike here and a price tail. So I would say that this is a really good spot to buy, and that this is really not a good spot to buy because we don't really see anything too special.
See, but that is a good spot to buy. See, because the volume spike is based on this. Buy it. Beautiful. Engulf, come back to the pivot, ride it for another crescendo into this trap. Huge volume on this pullback. Great dead cat bounce trade. Great place to sell. You have to be very like, okay, we're selling, we're buying, we're selling. You have to be very on top of this thing.
So going off that, let's go into the second phase of trading volume. And this one is a little bit more subjective, but it's still a really good way to get a bias in the market. So this is called trending volume. And if you want to read these first 3 points, you can. I'm going to let you guys do that for a few seconds before I move onward. You should probably pause the video. Okay. And that first point's the most important. Now let's see, how is volume trending right here? And what I mean by that is don't look at volume spikes, don't look at specific volume candlesticks. Instead, look at the trend of the overall volume and then compare that to what price is doing. So let's talk about it here. Starting from here to here and then here to here, what's going on? So this is what I see. I see that as price begins to move upward, we have a volume that is increasing. You can pretty clearly see that volume is increasing here with that moving average. And then we have a volume spike, traditional. Nothing too crazy about that. But notice that the lack of volume as price moves downward. Really not many transactions are occurring except here, which indicates oversold, which is actually even a more bullish sign. Why is volume increasing during the uptrend and why is volume decreasing during the downtrend? And what does this mean? This is probably what you're curious about. How can I use this? Volume's increasing during this uptrend because demand for buying Bitcoin was very high at these price levels. And then as price declined, not many people panicked and sold. So demand to sell, also known as just supply. Supply is really not that high right here. You can see that not many people were throwing away their Bitcoin, and FUD was really not coming in. Fear, uncertainty, doubt was really not.
Isn't it because this is a slower move down? This fast move, just like this big fast move down, the faster the move, but look at this volume spike here. It's very quick, 60, this is 1 hour chart. So finally we have a kind of a tradable situation. Huge volume here, you got to figure, well, I'm buying that. Or big volume up, I'm selling that. Big volume down, you're buying. Big volume up, you're selling. Pretty simple. Look at this spike here. I think his volume actually touching the wick somehow. His volume's on top of his prices. How do you do that? I don't know.
Kicking in here, as you can see, until many traders probably panicked here with that price still, and here as well. And when they did panic, this is what happened. The uptrend continued.
Okay, so here's the volume spikes right here. At least 4 of them, but more of a orderly accumulation as opposed to this climax here. And then we got this void. Nothing, and then bam, bam, bam. Now we're drifting. Volume's drifting lower, lower, coming to a crescendo. And then we're off to the races. But there's really no, like he said, volume's actually going down as we go up. It's too much to think about in a way. It's okay to look back and say, okay, well, I probably know when I see a big fast move, there's probably a lot of volume. I guess if you want to have another thing to look at, you know, I don't know. So I'm playing back the market here in Strategy Tester. I keep forgetting where I put the chart. So I made a template with volume in it. And I'm going to trade this one notch slower than the fastest speed, 31 on the 1 hour chart. And try to call out the trades here using the volume. This robot's actually drawing these lines or something. This robot's making okay money, even though I don't agree with its trade. See, I think this is the floor that we're going to engulf. So I'm going to let this thing, I'll let this thing trade. So this is trading very high speed. It reminds me of a 5-minute chart if the news came out, or even a 3-minute chart or 1-minute chart when the news comes out. Okay, so I'm cashing out here. I'm definitely going to get out of something here. The sellers are going to come in here on this rooftop on the 1 hour. And that's it. So I would have been the guy that is buying the lonely wick somewhere in time. 1 hour chart. This is trading 101. 1 hour chart, 24 bars a day. There's 24 chances to blow up your account per day. We see a big move down. We buy. With a market order, no questions asked. What is the volume at that point? It's actually low compared to the next bar is the most volume. It is also the most range, though. So if you're really going to do volume analysis and you do it bar by bar and really take a look at, is it helping or hurting you? Here is a low range. If we have high volume, we have a squat. It's called a squat in. So this is a confirmation of trend on a volume increase. We have the volume going up. We have the price going up. Okay, so we've had the sellers came in up here. Now I'm going to put buy limits down here, and I'm just not going to worry about it. This is how I like to do it. This 10 pip grid. I just have orders down there. Now, I've got orders that last all week here. This is 1 day. That's Asia breakout or fake out. And all these prices are written in stone. We have the 3 hour bottom here. We know we're going to buy this window. We're going to buy all the way down. And maybe we're not even in the market right now. Hopefully you bought this little stop hunt here, or this little trap. Now they could crush it. Now all bets are off. We have a small bar. The last hour was a small bar. Here comes non-directional guys who are making money. Okay, people are cashing out there. Now they're going to try to take out the high of the day and keep storming north. And then they want to go over here and stop hunt this guy. That's the high of the day. Yesterday's high. Pretty simple, isn't it? At 24 trades. If you sold every hour it was up and held through the whole day, assuming it's in a downtrend, I mean, you made money on this. Every time it was up, right, you sold here, you sold into the vacuum, you made money. But you had to know where to get out. where the buyers are getting in. And you probably cashed out now. You know, every hour it goes up, somebody's selling. Somebody out there is selling against. They're counter trend trading what you think is a trend. Their counter trend is a trend. It's a money making counter trend. It's a high probability pullback. They trade the pullback. You trade the entry into the pullback. So it's really about is your order sitting at the sweet spot or sweet spots? Are you waiting every hour looking at the market and diligently pulling the trigger regardless of what you think? Because you're not going to change your trade plan. Just because the market did something wackadoodle, it doesn't change the fact that every time it goes up every hour, you're selling one at the market if you're bearish. Because this is your hourly opportunity. If you could be awake for 24 hours. And that's the fantasy. When you look at the 1 hour chart, you're like, oh, look at this entry. Yeah, would you actually be there for that entry? When did that happen? So here's the reason why indicator lookbacks are kind of fantasy trading, because you mean and this is why it's better to understand the structure, because that gives you all day to fill that ticket. You don't have to sniper into it. You don't have to get your infrared glasses. See, the sellers came in here in that window, so there was an easy 10 pips, maybe 20. Right, this pocket, once they got a load of that, and look at the scalpers got out. Now we could go crushing down, or we could go flying up. Every hour that ticks by. And that's the cool thing about it. So here's the 1 hour playback. All I did was zoom in. So I'm not going to jump any further. They should be able to contextually and naturally low volume in Asia, right? Go figure. And then bam. So I'm getting in Asia with tight stops. I'm getting out when the market's screaming. So this move here, volume would be, if the volume's peaking like this, I'm getting the fuck out or I'm selling. There's a sell. Then here's a squat, actually. This next bar has immense volume and very little movement. This is a squat. This is the end of wave 3 in Williams trading. Here's another climax in volume, but there was a previous climax here. So what is the climax moment there? Oh, got to make sure I put it on the price because it will not come through on the bottom there. The very tippy top. Besides, you're selling at the market anyways because it's up. So the volume's kind of redundant. If it's up big, yeah, there's probably a lot of volume. It's down big, probably a lot of volume. And buying against the last, you're just buying a price pulse, really, or selling it, a short-term trade, or it could be the beginning of your first leg of building something if you want it to go on longer. I'm trying to get down to this this one movement here. See what the volume is here at this. So it does peak here, and then it actually peaks. The volume peaks more on the trough than it does on this top move. Oh God, I cannot move these objects while it's playing back this robot. So here, not quite climaxed on that. It's the big sell-off. Another thing is, are you going to wait for the volume? If I was going to wait for volume, I'd say, okay, right here, as soon as we get up here above here, I'm going to sell. As soon as the volume exceeds this last volume, I'm selling. So I would have sold here at the market, and if we don't fill my sell limits, which I piled up in here, I put the biggest orders in first up here because I know I want to sell that. I'll wait an hour. If I don't get filled on that, I will sell at the market in 1 hour. So I put the limits in first, and I finger my trigger. So I would have sold that last hour at the 100-yard line. And we actually got a climax in volume there. We haven't built this final. The problem is as the volume's being built here, But I sold that. I'm scalping that. And I got limits above me. So I have to think way up into this 100-yard line now. Because this is very looming up here. It could be a total crush to the north without one chance to scalp it. Unless I drop down to the 5-minute chart and start buying. And pullbacks there, and kind of religiously, every 5 minutes it's down, I buy. If it's down 3 bars in a row, that's 15 minutes I bought. And I had the very tight targets and a couple greedy targets, but not too many. See, I'm already making money on my 10 pip sell there. I sold 10 pips above the round into this rooftop on the 1 hour chart. I could see this top in this window. A nice place to pluck off a scalp. And maybe I sold this one too. So I just went to break even. So here's your classic contention. We have a small bar. We're going to break out higher low. We're probably going to stop hunt a little bit here. If I wasn't in, I'd put a buy limit here. I put one here. I have my finger on the trigger every hour. If it's down, I have a market order risk. You know, a certain amount of market orders a day keeps the anxiety away. You have to have some kind of, even if it's a bad trade. That's why you trade small on the market orders with wide stops for the swing trades. And if you're going to do focused scalp banks that you predetermine that you're going to put your orders in a hot spot, set the trap and run away, like a true coward, you know, this is cowardly trading, to put limits in. See, I get the fact that guys want to be alpha trader. They got 20 screens. They got their finger on the trigger. They're a sniper. See, come here. Give me that market. But there is also the people that want to passively make money without having to shit their pants about, did they make a good decision in the last millisecond? So we're doing a stop hunting here. I just got filled on a limit, a shallow limit. I think we could still keep crushing all the way down to here. You know, there's the day is young. This looks like the London Open here. A big rally. Now the wheels could come off. If I am still short and I didn't get stopped out of this one, I'm probably cashing out about right now. And if I did buy this, I kind of have to scalp out there, right? Because that was the floor. You're just at the mercy of it. If you watch the 1 hour chart, you realize that there's plenty of trades on the 1 hour chart, but they're little nooks and crannies as opposed to the broad areas on a 15-minute chart. It's a little bit disturbing. There's too much. Okay, you know, the 1 hour chart's plenty. Also, to get a picture of what would it be like if it sold off 40 pips right now. Like, when I see this sell off here, if I'm not here to place, if I didn't place buy limits in here and I see this thing go down hard, I buy that with kind of a good feeling of I'm participating in, just like here. If this thing comes down and stays down here at the end of the hour, I'm buying it. But I hopefully have already scalped off of this, right? Okay, I'm scalping out, see? At the end of this hour, we may blow out the bottom of this and go lower. But see, I had to take something off the table there because that could be it. As this thing probes down in, okay, if we close in the middle here, you know people are cashing out. I mean, you could see it. It may even wrap up, close. It may actually close higher than the last hour, the very last 5 minutes. So it's very bizarre to watch the 1 hour chart and playing it back here. I think about 10 times faster, 20 times faster in reality, I suppose. I don't have a lot of indicators on here, so it's not slowing the robot down. But yeah, we're still not done with this hour. Okay, out, bam. Oh, people are getting out. Oh yeah, they're getting out just before the end of that hour, man. Look at that. Now you could actually just shoot up and blow out the top of that. You got to figure anything could happen, especially the volatility just kicked up to 20 pips per bar. There's nobody trading a breakout system here that trades type breakout systems. We do know that. What we do know is the people that trade certain setups, this one's off limits for them. Now, for the limit guy, he's already cashed out and he didn't even have to be there. He could have placed those orders. In fact, the limit guys that I'm thinking about have orders down here for later on, and they're just like, yeah, if you go down there tomorrow, it's just a no-brainer. I don't even have to think about that trade. This one, okay, you got big fat orders in here. It just got triggered after that dead cat bounce, and now you're getting picked up on these, and you're going to gobble up all the way down. And that's my favorite trade, is to buy super deep and just martingale in. Just keep buying into this shit down here and just be like, oh yeah, love it. Now, only one instrument per account for me, because I want to see just how much money I can make on this, all these tickets. And maybe, like here, I'm scalping out right now into this bottom. Bam, I'm out. Okay, now I'm like, holy shit, let's do it all over again. So on the tablet, I will press a button and it will drop a whole array of limits all over. Rinse and repeat, because these have all been tagged and bagged. Now I'm thinking, how long are these going to last? And I've got to reset the whole thing now. So it's a reset based on what the bull is doing, right? So if you have some bull that's really a feisty one, or a bear that's a feisty one. See, I'm flat now. Now I'm getting it filled on limits. Now if they crush it down again, I'm like, oh yeah. I padded the account, and I can buy even heavier down here, which is really unfair value because it's literally so deep into this super deep vacuum that goes back to here. Now here, I'm buying everything that's not nailed down. Okay, I just got refilled on that whole area now. I don't need to go to the 5-minute chart. This is plenty. See, I can't. The beauty of the strategy tester won't let you. So look at, I got refilled down here. Almost took out the low. I wish they would have. At the end of the hour, if it is down, I would have bought the market a little bit here. It was barely down. And if it is down at the bottom of the hour, I have to have enough dry powder that I will buy one at the market just for good measure. So I like to have a blend of tickets. Typically, I'll make more money from the limits because they have more limits in. Plus, it's the obviously better trade. But it is fun, too, if you're here for this London Open thing and you sold here at the market and you're like, oh, I'm just going to sell the fucking fake breakout here. And what'd you do? Well, it went up, I sold. Well, okay, you're almost like you're saying that you think that's a top. Yeah, I was right. I mean, you could be right a million times. Here, if it's down at the end of the hour, I'll buy it. They just filled some more limits. You see that? Now, there's scalps built into that of 8, 10, 12 pips, 5 pips, 3 pips. Okay, the 3 pips just cashed out. See? People, they look at the end of the hour, look how it just dropped. That was probably the end of the half hour there, maybe. Here we go. More buy limits. So look at the crush rate on that. I mean, wow, scalpers are just about to get out. Bam, they're out, right? The low risk guys, high probability guys, they're out. Now new sellers come in. We could go down now. Yeah, no, it's just a beautiful presentation. We have had lower highs all the way down. We've been walking down this beautiful stairway into the void. Volume was heavy on the previous bar. Consistent volume down here. Looks like accumulation phase, I guess. Well, now we spiked into here. I just missed that. I just missed that fill down there. But we did get filled down there. We scalped out. Okay, that was where we put our, hopefully we got filled. Tight enough stop. I'm going to wait. If it's down one more hour, so what about this? Because it was down on the hour and then I got filled on limits. Now I'm not going to buy anymore. Now I'm going to let it cash out. And now maybe I'm going to get in lightly and sell here in this void, here on the void we left behind on this rooftop to the 100-yard line, and then here again, and the whole fucking thing all over again. I'm holding now maybe 20%. maybe 80% of the position. It depends how much advantage you've taken of this clearinghouse situation. Look, the volume is maxing out. So they're a huge volume, huge pin bar. I would stay away from breakout strategies at this point. I figured you missed the trade. I wouldn't touch this thing. I'm cashing out. Boom, boom, boom. I'm selling into that. Scalping off that. I'm going to exit if it comes back here. Bam, I'm out. So I could have made money in both directions. Now I'm flat. Now I still have my crop of sell limits up here, and I got buy limits now trailing super deep just because I want to be flat unless I get a complete insanity. So that was a beautiful clearinghouse sweepstakes there, and it's over. You know, we blow out that top, crush it, pull back. You know, this goes on all day long in these markets. So put on your 1 hour strategy tester, watch it play the market back, and ask yourself, am I a seller here? Am I a buyer here? What am I doing with this? Can I see myself placing this order bank in here? And look, I'm not going to go crush it north now, right? So just because this came back doesn't mean it can't revisit. It's retesting within that 1 hour range. 60 minutes. There's 60 bars in the 1 minute chart inside of each bar here. Hard to believe. And once again, from a distant view here, I can see about, good 50 pips on the screen. Plenty of money to be made on a 1 hour chart. And quick money. I mean, that was a nice 10 pips in less than an hour. We popped up into the window and from both directions. It was 10 under an hour, and it was 10 pips either direction. You could have been the guy selling that vacuum. You could have been the guy cashing out into it because you bought the other unfair value or the uncharted hole. Now to me, it's always going to be limits. I'm going to go to sleep, put limits in here maybe. Still got my sell limits. I'm going to move them up higher now, right? Because I might want to come in with a buy limit that's shallow here. And I might want to turn these into scalp banks because if we hit this area, it may be short-lived ride back to this top now. So everything's unfolding now. We can see the trains being laid. So this is the new resistance up here. This is the contention. Now, are we going to stop hunt this guy? Well, I'll buy in limits, sir. And maybe put a buy stop in here, like a true goober. Cancel replace. So I'm going to do when the volatility dries up, I'm going to start putting buy stops here. Or am I just going to buy every market? Every hour it's down, I'm buying at the market too. Let's say I'm bullish. Buy stop here, confirmation, plus at the end of the hour if it's down, I'll buy. Maybe I got filled on my limits trailing behind this bar. So here's the problem. Somebody's going to be saying, well, I have a sell stop there because I have a narrow bar. Why are you buying on limits? Yeah, because I'm only trying to make 8 pips. You're trying to make 20. So your target is beyond my target or vice versa. And who's on, this 15-minute chart is going to be like, I'm out in 18 minutes. This guy, you can have it. I'm done. So we got this limits pack stacking here. I just bought the market, and I got enough to buy some on limits if we crash down. And maybe I put a buy stop in here. Okay, we definitely have a buy stop, sell stop now. The last hour, this is the quietest hour. Buy stops here, confirmation. Sell stops here. We're really going to trade heavy now because we can run tighter stops. So here, another very quiet, even more quiet than the last hour. Insane. Pressure's building up here. Okay, we just got filled on the buy stops, and we're heavy in the market on both directions. We could be both directions here. So we don't know how this is going to resolve coming to Asia. whether we can get to here or we're going to go crushing into this. Now this is becoming looming. This is where it gets very interesting. Are we going to crush to that? And then if we do, can we just slice through this, you know? This is looming now. This top's a big deal. Reminds me of the time tunnel. So we did stop hunt that very tight here. We're getting taken out of our tight stops. We'll probably spike both ways into Asia. They're going to try to trap us. I know what they're going to try to do to us. It always happens. Very quiet coming to Asia here. Huge volatility day. Basically trapping people on this top and then trapping people down here. We're just sitting here unchanged practically into Asia. So all weekend you can run these simulations and ask yourself, when you look at the 1 hour chart, you'll feel very at home trading the 1 hour chart. Oh, I see what's going on. Yeah. Okay. I get it. You can see the areas that you could place orders. Pretty tight on this one. I'm going to have to fix the scale on this. Can't get a picture of where I'm at in the big landscape here. Let's zoom out. Okay, looks like fake breakout down. We got our limits down there. I'm ready to buy in a dip. Dippity do. Famous last words. Buy in dips. Oh, they're crushing it. Yeah, this EA is drawing trend lines, believe it or not. Something I downloaded called the Breakout system. I think it actually makes kind of a slight bit of money here. Wait. Hey, look at it. Made $9. Here it's getting all frisky. Okay, so that was just like the stop hunt. So I'm long on my limits that are shallow. We haven't exceeded the... we're stuck in like an 8 pip window. Okay, so we got all these orders stacking up. We got the 12-hour buy stops. We got the 12-hour sell stops. And I'm just going to have to endure some getting crushed out of some of these small tickets. Waiting for the end of Asia here, coming into on the way to London. So it looks like the bulls are are making money on that, and the sellers are going to come in here. We can cash out of some stuff here. We can either take everything off the table, or we can get out of half and then put buy limits in trailing below here. And we could still have our pendings here, the end of the world tickets, because, you know, the end of the world's coming. Okay, so sellers came in right here within like 1 pip of that top. They're done. So they're going to crush north a little bit. It's definitely a choppy ride. Looks like I have to come back to the breakout point here. So this is the difficult part, because that was a nice clean move, and now it's not moving enough to, I'd say, put in shallow orders here to buy limits. These last an hour. These last like 12 hours or all day orders down here. Buying at the market on pullbacks only. That strategy of just buying low, you would have bought this every little drift down. Do not buy that up. Buy that little pullback. And hopefully you cashed out on something here. We'd always assume that's the shoulder, that's the head, boom. Now we're going to get filled on these limits maybe, finally. So if I run the 15 minutes trailing like this, And I got the 3 hours back there. That's going to be optimal trade entries. And this way, of course, you got a whole day ahead of you here now. I wonder if I could take up the fastest speed here and kind of call out the trades at high speed. Let's attempt it. Okay, so here you're going to have to sell above here. I'm just going to pick out the lonely wicks now. Got to cash out above there. There'll be a frantic frenzy above that. Okay, you cashed out. You sold a scalp off of that. Are we going to go after it? I think we are going to go after that zone. I'm going to put my next sell limit up here. I finally made money on the ones I got chopped to death on here. Okay, people scalping off this and off of here. We're going to do the same thing. Easy pre-planned scalp. Definitely going to sell a pant load above this number. And that's all there is to it. Okay, we got that scalp in. We made 10 pips off of this top. If not more, we have pending buy limits behind. Okay, now we're selling again. Another slightly higher high. That was a scalp. People are out. Now they're going to fill my sell limits. I got really spread out banks because I know that if I go back on the chart, I don't see anything back there. So it's very scary for the bears. That was a scalp. As soon as they go up another 20 pips, they're hitting more of my tickets. Okay, now I'm scalping off of that. I think they're going to take it up to the 100-yard line here, though. Vicious, because there's nothing to the left. Can't see anything there. First scalp. Not even 1 hour does this thing. And don't forget, every hour you're selling at the market. It's a giant swing trade strategy. The more this goes up, the harder it goes up, the wider your stop needs to be. Okay, if it's down here in the next hour, we're not going to sell anymore. We're going to take profits on whatever we can get. And we got limits we filled up here too. We're waiting to take profits on the market orders and some of the limits we laid up there. Okay, so hopefully something took 10 to 20 pips off the table there on one of those rungs. This is where it's really key to martingale into the trade. So your heavy sells are way up there. Volume spike. So waiting again. Even on this playback, we're waiting. This also show you just how impatient you are. Okay, we almost made 30 pips here off the top of that. Boom, 30 pips. Okay, I think buyers are coming in a little nibbling on that. Kind of a little stop hunt there. If we're buying every pullback, we bought the last 2 hours. Those people are long now holding. Okay, my new sell limits are here if I'm flat. New buy limits here if I'm not in the market yet. If I did buy that pullback, if I did cash out of some of my sells and have to face the facts that we're not even coming back to this top. Like there's no way. Okay, now I'm long cashing out. I have sells here all the way to the 100 and beyond for the rest of the day. Don't have to think about this trade, really. We assume that's the head. Now we assume this is the shoulder. If we're wrong that this is not the head, then we assume the next one's the shoulder. This thing's drawing a nice trend line for me. I can't remember what this robot's called. They changed the name of it. Download is free. I have no idea what it's called. I was hoping I could build a team of these bots. Look, this thing's underwater like tremendously on this fucking stupid entry down here. I don't trust this robot. But it's saying it's actually making money somehow. Nice sideways action here. So here's where it's very quiet. Coming into Asia again. Here's your trend traders buying every pullback. Very subtle. They're long. They can't wait to breach that 100, but There are people selling into the top of that, and they can't wait to scalp it and cash out into this hole that's forming below. Maybe they just did right there. That might be it. And that was it. So that's all they could give you was that. So you're actually buying a shallow stop hunt to get that $100 bell ringer. Hits the 100, comes ripping back off it. Yes, it does matter that it went to the 100-yard line. That still does matter. The fact that it went up. It didn't make it to the 100-yard line here and it pulled back. It just went up so blistering fast. Now it's crazy. You got to wait. Look at this spike in volume. Now you got to wait. You're either waiting for this thing to go up so you can sell it. Okay, you just sold the market. Or you're waiting for it to calm down so you can put a buy stop and a sell stop in it. So at the end of each hour, you've got a couple choices. You could put delete limits, put limits in. You could put a buy stop and bracket it if it's quiet. You could trade the market if you have a plan for a small pullback as opposed to a large pullback. Or a move, it moved up, you're selling. And so that can live inside of that. Those two trade plans can coexist. You have a combination of things based on what's going on. Like here, maybe you have a trailing buy stop because it's drifting down. You want to go long. You have buy limits that just got filled into this hole. Don't forget, the guy that sold at the 100-yard line is loving it. He's totally loving that trade, how stupid it is. My heavy buy pack starts here, and I already knew that because I could see the hole from yesterday. I just got filled in the top ticket of that. Just like everybody else that scalps that first breakout, the fake out. Okay, is it going to engulf or not? Yes, that is a fake out. But we didn't know. It could have kept crushing in. Right? That could have crushed that into that backfill. And maybe it will now. So once the volatility kicks up, it could start ramming and crushing everybody's zones. Without regard. Here, going to probe down deeper now. I like to stand back and I like to be flat half the time, optimally, and just be like, oh yeah, I'll be in some drama later, trust me. It won't take long. I'm either going to get filled on these sell limits up here, and if I really want to step back and not have to think too much about it, I'm just going to put in really distant orders and be like, I'm okay. If something happens otherwise, but for the most part, hey, look at how it ended up the end of the, this is Friday, so this is the end of the week. Look how it ended up there. So now we've got this big cavern, this loomage, and we've got this. So this is not as big because it only is here, right? It still matters. Of course, now we're going to start trailing the loomage. And we're just about to dip in this window. I can't wait for them to plunge it all the way down, so just buy mindlessly into that on limits. And the breakout traders, I mean, people that sell into that, they got to be wondering, is this a fake out? Are we really going to crush into that? Okay, so you didn't. Scalpers won again on that. The fake breakout, the people at the hot spots that know how to make 10 pips and 20 pips, they just cleaned up. Trading the edge. Long term, it isn't an uptrend, but that wouldn't matter because that idea of, and this is a total auction just before London, and then it's engulfing, and there should be a huge reaction up here. Up here, definitely, I'm still selling all month long up there. Okay, now coming to my sell window. Very quickly, and here I'm going to sell just a pant load again at the 100 and beyond here. Now I'm throwing in super dense sells up here. And I sold at the market too. So I sold at the market because it's screaming up, and because maybe we didn't put enough limits in here for the scalp. Now I got buy limits sitting here. I'm going to cash out here if we make it back here. It looks frantic. Looks like we're just going to pop this cork, but there could still be one more stop hunt. And here it comes. So never fear. It's going to go up and down. Yeah, okay, that was the stop hunt, and now the big buyers come in. And once we came back to this, there you go. Boom. Now we're cashing out, and we're getting filled on these psycho orders that we placed up here. And we're just going to go for broke on that. We're not even there to see it. Right? We got sell limits up here all day long. Again, I'm giving it all day to get up there. Now I'm putting an unrealistic target. I'm selling up here. Don't forget, I sold so much at the top of this day for the scalp. I just made 20 pips off the top of the day. Okay. I'm getting out. I'm almost flat when we come back to this structure point. Okay, I'm out. I had to get out. That's so frantic. Now I'm flat. I got buy limits here, but I'm really going to buy heavier than hell down here, right? I just got filled in some buy limits. Or I just held through some more of that sell. But the volatility kicks up. You got to be like, I'm in, I'm out. I mean, you got to be hitting your targets, your 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 pips. You may not see 80 pips in 1 hour. Now they're coming after more of my buy limits. More and more. Okay, I'm hoping they're going to scalp out. I could run trailing buy stops on there, but I can see the pressure building up. Besides, I'm getting filled on limits. And maybe I'm going to buy every hour it's down. That's fun. Luxury. Okay, I think we're trapped under this floor right now, possibly. Here's the contention. Was that the last hunt? And look at this beautiful hourly drop. Okay, I think it could still come down here. More deep fills. But yeah, just getting this sizing right and getting what you think is going to happen on one currency pair right is the trick. Right, can you see it coming? Wow, look at that. So here was the biggest vacuum, had the biggest response. I'm cashing out. Sellers come right here and kind of start ripping it back and forth now. Now more buy limits down here again. I only pull the trigger if it's down at the market here. Hopefully I got filled on maybe some shallow limits. Now I've really got orders, and I'm going to put my orders well beyond this wick now. Well, look at the nice backfill here. You could have had a power strip laid in that lasted 4 hours there. Look at that pullback stop hunt. Did you see that? Wow. You don't need a 1 minute chart for that. That was spectacular. Look how they sheared that off. Unbelievable. That's the trade. Okay. Sure, you could say volume's up here, but it's too late. After the confirmation of that volume spike, dude, it doesn't matter. Just put the tickets in. Okay, I got volume peaking there. I just can't even look at it. Honestly, it just doesn't help me. I'm looking at this. Look at this fucking drama. Are you kidding me? So here, double bottom. Pressure's building up, low ATR. Low true range for that bar. Bam. Scalping into this. All right, we got to cash out to this top if we sold that window. Cash out. Maybe now it crushes down to here. We don't know. So we bought that little baby pullback, and we're hoping it takes out the high of the day. We're hoping it goes up here and I can sell like crazy up in the ionosphere, well beyond the high there. Now, if I don't get the price I want, and we do climax to say here, right? I scale a little bit. Okay, so I could have sold that on one ticket on this rooftop. I only would have made about looks like 8 pips, 10 pips. Okay, now they're coming after my buy limits, so I would have put trailing buy limits in here. And I still got just a ton of tickets in here, quite a bit at the moment, just for that nice set it and forget it scalp. Structurally, it makes sense. We would get a bounce off of this, but it doesn't mean we can't crush back deeper. So I'm hoping for a crush back into here. Just a mind-blowing crush. That is the joy of not having to babysit it, is you can put in these big orders down here. Okay, we're crawling out of the hole here. It's Technical Tuesday in the chart. Anybody's game here in Asia looks very choppy. We could spill down here and get filled finally on these limits. Now I'm going to put longer lasting orders super deep. And I might, I'm still going to have settlements above, conservatively above the high of Monday. Let's see what we get here. They only filled a couple of tickets on the dip in that window. A fixed 2 pip spread here. Not a bad trade as far as there was a moment there you're up about 3 pips. Still looking for the ultimate plunge here. Okay, sellers are selling the very tippy top. This line of scrimmage at the 10-yard line. The bulls got it. They got a cash out here. A lot of sellers here. Now we're still waiting to get filled on our limits. I want that 50 pips sell off with my 100 pip stops. More sellers jumping in at the top there. Still patiently waiting for the plunge when London opens, when U.S. markets open. Looks like we're going after that window now. Okay, my first fill on the top of the rack. I'm looking for a big plunge now. They're going to hit it hard. Sweep that whole area. Sweep the leg. And once again, the big tickets are down here in this hole. And here for certain. Plus, I would have bought at the market if I didn't think I got enough limits in here. The scalp should be right here living in the hot spot. We already know we got to get out here on quite a bit of stuff if we can make it back there. So every hour, I wouldn't have bought that last hour it was up, that's for sure. Getting this balance between, you don't have to trade at the market, but it is fun. We took out the low of yesterday, but not the low on Monday. So this is the critical window here. Your biggest tickets would go in here at the very edge with the tightest stops. Just about cashed out. I'd be cashed out of them, just basically the 20 pip orders are already out. This is the floor to overcome. We need to engulf and take out the high of the London Open there and just start going nuts. But it looks like the sellers came in faithfully at this pivot. We would have cashed out there and we could have stepped away. Or we're holding on to a small position. Or we're looking to sell up here. At this point, I think they're going to rip the face off this thing, so I really am going to trade. I'll start selling beyond this. Okay, here is your first scalper window right there. So that was the scalp to sell the high of that, but see how that's pretty short-lived? A clean 30 pips off of that, though. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay, now I got my buy limits down here. I'm like, oh yeah, they're going to go hunt these fuckers now. But that is a scary thing, selling up here, but look at that. The high of the day is worth 40 pips without even fucking being there. I'd rather buy down here, and now we're going to go after the high of the day. So also you have to cash out because they could take out. If you never scalped out of this, you'd think, oh, that's a great trade. I'm going to hold on to that. What if at the end of the hour they're blowing out the top of this pin bar? It's also no breakout strategy in the last hour. It's too big of a move. Okay, they're plunging after my buy limits. I've only filled these tickets down here. It's getting all squirrely. As we zoom out, we see a bigger picture there. Alrighty then, so great place to range trade this without regard to all those other trades that you missed. It's the trade what's going on now. Okay, so I'm always eager buyer down here and above here. It looks like still the sell window. This trapping people on the high that day. That was cruel for people that trade breakouts on the high of the day. Okay, I think we're going to go Plungeville now. So now I'm just going to load up all the way down for the next 100 pips for the rest of the week. Oh, yeah, there you go. See, beautiful. Crushing down. We should get our biggest ticket's going to be here and here. Huge, giant ticket banks. The light ticket banks are starting in this window because that could just be a swing trade, like we might plunge. Looks like that was the scalper's exit. Kind of trapping people on the break out of that top. Okay, now we filled up some stuff here. We just nicked this floor there. Now we're waiting. And hopefully we laid the dominoes out right with our limits. So we don't have to babysit this one. If we're watching the account and we think that we made so much money that, yes, this is the place to get out support-wise. It's always going to be here. Kind of basing it on this price, actually. And now that the sellers would come in here at that rally at the market, they definitely want to see it tank. A lot of people are waiting for this one to sell. Kind of the low of 2 days ago. And look, this people that sell at the market, they already sold that last hour right on a turnbuckle. So I'm going to play the limit game again. I'm going to put more limits down here. And I'll put sell limits up in this window. Okay, now they're filling my tickets. I'll wait. Every hour it's down, I'm going to buy at the market. And this is the critical window right here, because it goes back into this undercut. Here was the trap of where everything started, all the way back to the starting gate. Okay, so I'm holding my longs. I will not buy at the market. I only bought that big screaming down candle. Hopefully I'm taking 10 pips and the 20 pips off the table right now. Seeing as how I stepped in front with this big bank of orders down here. Now we could blow out the bottom. So hopefully I have taken my 10 pips. Okay, now we're going to get more fills. A big reaction at this place. And as they come after this, I'm going to even buy more beyond this point. So the problem is that if it does retrace now, you wish you were in heavier, but the problem is if it goes down lower, you're going to wish you were in lighter. So getting the wish queued up with reality is the balancing act here, is to get those guys to match. Okay, here we come into the limits now. And I must say it's my favorite trade. I don't know where this is in the chart, somewhere in time. And this is just like the Australian dollar. We keep crushing down, right? So what do you do about this? Well, it's all pre-planned. I'm going to buy so much down here all week long, all month long. I'm going to buy so much down here. And I just don't care. If I bought every hour at the market, I'd have to say, well, I didn't put enough limits in. Okay, so it's tanking. How's this robot making any money on this? It's up 26 bucks. I don't know how. Trading against me, apparently. I think a lot of people are going to cash out here and here if we ever retrace out of this hole. Well, the thing just sold there at the bottom. I don't know about that. Kind of getting trapped, I think. But this money management bot has settings I'd have to play with. It also has a trailing stop, apparently. It went and put a trailing stop. It locked in a winning position there. So, robot got it right. I'm getting more limits filled now. Now I'm just like, oh my God, beautiful. Got 100 pip stops, 200 pip stops, 50 pip stops, 80 pip stops, 60 pip stops. Whole day it's tanking. Just buying into this thing. Really fell through the floor. On its way to this psycho price here. 116. Serious move. Big swing trade. Keep crushing it. Picked up some more tickets there. Boom. Look how fast that thing filled that. Wow. I'm buying all the way into this thing. Too hard to sell it. I mean, this is 2 hours straight down. No way am I selling that. It's chasing that down. I don't even see the volume perking up. The volume's not even going up. Okay, so I got my 100 pip fill here. And now I'm just going to bet. I'm going to buy so much down here. For the rest of the week, look at one day, we're getting our fills. Also could have bought at the end of each hour. That's down hard. Doesn't look as bad here. But yeah, this whole tumbling. Look at that. Just set it and forget it fills. Let's let it open. Okay, so we start cashing out our 1020. We got to get out of maybe half the position by here. So we really got loaded up on that. Okay, so let's see what kind of retracement we get out of this thing. Cashing out here. And a little bit along the way there. So in this floor, I'm cashing out. Now I could throw buy limits in. Coming underneath it like this now. And if I'm totally flat and let's say I got stopped out of buying into this plunge, I didn't take enough profits here on this lousy 15 pip bounce. So I went flat. Now I'm putting in buy limits again. Buy deeper again. I've moved up all my tickets tighter. As the market calms down, I'm going to run stuff shallower. I'm going to overlap these regions with buy limits. I'm going to think about buying at the market before we take out the high of the closing market there. I just got filled on my 20 pip deepers into the round number. So I'm looking to do the same kind of dead cat bounce here. Now we could take out the low of the previous day and keep tanking here, which is fine with me. We still could have sold on sell stops. As it's going up, we could have put in a confirmation trailing sell stop 5, 10 pips away. Kind of a, just default, go with the flow. We would have definitely made money on this drip down. But once again, I'm getting filled on the limits. And it looks like maybe this is the shoulder. I'll let that go. I would have maybe bought that big down bar, but it's not necessary. We're just going to trap. We're just going to net fish. Pick these things up along the way. So we could totally come back to here now. This is an obvious place. And maybe we're going to go after this perfect bottom became a top in time on the 1 hour chart. Kind of a perfect setup on a trend trade. Okay, so we're cashing out and we're going to hold through here and let it drift into here and beyond. Or we just went flat into this void here. It depends. Depends how much you want to be involved and how long you want to hold these trades. There's some great trades on the 1 hour chart. There's great trades if you have the daily chart at the same time, it may be too much to think about because you're like, well, yeah, but this is like so far from getting filled. Yeah, that's why the 1 hour stop hunt where we take out this guy's stop, maybe you want to buy that 1 hour stop hunt. And maybe you just want to lay in orders and you don't thinking about some of these stops being hunted for you. It's just a better price. It doesn't always have to be against what most people are doing, and if most people are losing, don't do what most people do. It's what are you doing based on what kind of opportunities in front of you. How often does a move like that even happen? And if you weren't there to pull the trigger, it's just you totally miss out. Looks like they're going to take it lower here. So it's great that I'm flat and I'm starting to get filled, and I'm really going to buy just tons here. All the way to that number for the rest of the week, rest of the month. I can't wait till they take it down there. I'm just not inclined to sell into it. It's just too much work. Like if I sell now, I know people would say nobody's buying here. Somebody just bought there. Okay, they just scalped out. Now it could tank. And hopefully it will. So a big spaced orders, always never underestimate the spike that's about to happen. Never underestimate the boringness of a sideways market. How are you going to kill yourself? But this stuff does play out eventually. There's also this view is different, right? This view of reality is different than, say, this view. This is scarier in a way because you're like, holy shit, this thing's really moving around, right? So this is the reality of the market. This is kind of the analyzation view of the market. Is like, well, what's the big picture of this thing? Okay, but the guy that's in right now, and he's in really big, every 10 pips matters. So I look at it like this. We are now trapped below this floor. Sellers come in here continuously. I'm always going to be the guy buying down this plunge hole. I like that lazy technique. Just throw tickets in there, 10 pips apart, walk away. If it's quiet, sell off, maybe it is 5 pips apart. But here, 100 pip, 200 pip stops. Just let me buy that thing. I just don't care anymore. Come down another 40 pips. It's not even, it's just beautiful to sit back and watch it fill without having to pull the trigger. The buy stops, if you're running trailing buy stops and trailing sell stops and bracketing the market, that's work too. I think the laziest trade is the limit trade. The giant swing trade is just a really easy way to capture a price. The other stuff involves you really being there and paying attention and doing what's happening every hour, based on every hour. If you get good at limit orders, you never have to. You would have to rinse and repeat those orders, but you could do that every 4 hours. After you've cashed out of a bank, say you come in, look at the market every 8 hours, and you're like, oh, I'm up in this trade. Go flat, throw the limits in. Like right now, they're filling my limits. I'm okay getting filled every 10 pips. With a master stop of 100 pips and going underwater for X. And let that thing build up. And if it works out, it doesn't always work out. That may be why you want a different currency pairs. Some are going to win, some are going to lose. It's hard to look at the tick chart. It's hard to go down and say, well, let me look at the 15 on that then. That could be tough psychologically. Okay, so finally it's retracing here. We got that climax of volume in London open. We see we're down in the middle of the day. Middle of the day is like a big deal. You're 12 hours in. Okay, it's got a lot of work to do. We're going to have to get out of almost everything we bought in this hole right here. I already know I've got to go flat into this. That is the pivot. This 10 pip window here. There's no way around it. In fact, as they clip out this top here, we can already see the early sellers coming in at the first rooftop there. See how it pulled away from that? So that was the first scalp for the sellers. And now we got to go punching north. I'm going to cash out here, I already know. Even though we could engulf that and then rip out Asia's high and just go screaming north. There's plenty of time to run trailing buy limits that are 8 pips deep. Besides, this is fast and easy money to the floor. So boom, I'm out right there. Flat. New sellers coming in. We're probably going to overshoot into here. I'll put sell limits up here for a scalp bank, but I would put fatter orders up here. It's about asking how long would it take for us to go up there? Maybe 4 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours. Less risky to put the 3-hour orders up there than the 6-hour orders. And now, if I'm flat, I am going to come back with the buy limits all over again. And maybe I bought a couple shallow ones here, but I like this down here. Still plenty of time to get filled here by running shallow trailing limits here. Here comes Asia. So, just goes on and on. It's just how it is. It's just never-ending drama of up and down movement. How do you tactically approach it to make money from it? What can you do about the price that hasn't happened yet? What can you do about, oh, there's a beautiful. So there you go. If you bought that stop hunt in anticipation, and don't forget there is a guy out there that bought this 100 pip window. I guarantee you he committed to buying this zone. They do the sellers come in at the floor. Turns out, after all, it is a true engulf, and the scalpers are coming in here, and it looks like they're going to go after this. So we could sell in this window. We could still run trailing buy limits here and pick something up, but looks pretty fierce, pretty pissed off. In the big picture, it's all about this price was the price to overcome. Can't quite do it because we're trapped in this window now. So there's all these layered auction windows that are constantly going on. There's this battle here. And that's plenty for some people to make 10 pips in like 10 minutes. Huge. Now I'm going to go for the buy limits here. And I just like to watch stuff plunge into my orders, honestly. I just like buying. So I can see getting filled now. There you go. That works for me. So I'm flat. We were in the seller's window. Could have scalped out, made 10, 20 pips there, but I'd rather just kind of like go to take a nap, put buy limits here, and just walk away. It's just a preference of how to get in the market. Just seems easy, less work. It's a foregone conclusion that I want to buy down there. I've decided long ago. I will buy 40 pips deep from now without knowing if we're going to make it down there. 4-hour tickets, 40 pips deep, 10 pips an hour. 1 hour chart. Starting all the way back with the buy limits again. So the market never really went anywhere. As long as we're taking chunks out of it along the way, it's fine.